I'll start. So I'm Ann Schimberg. I live in Sarasota, Florida. I am a past region president of Florida Region. I'm a past sisterhood president of a sisterhood I was involved in many years ago. I'm now at a new sisterhood in Florida, Rodef Shalom, and I was raised Orthodox, modern Orthodox. When my oldest was in fourth grade, we went to a conservative synagogue, and I have loved it ever since because I have felt like I'm a part of that purpose, which I think if many women don't realize that the conservative movement gives you so much as a Jewish woman. So take advantage of everything. And if your synagogue's not doing things for egalitarian, work on that. Get them to, because it's important. And that's pretty much it. I have been teaching. I taught advanced beginners last year. I'm going to teach that again this year, and intermediate. So I just hope, bear with me because this is new. And like I say, it's a back and forth. So whatever you have to say or whatever, please do. Okay, Eileen Barberry.
Oh, hi. I'm Eileen Barberry. Live in Safety Harbor, Florida, which is near Clearwater. Belong to Congregation Beth Shalom, which is conservative in Clearwater. Class, I just find learning interesting. So if I get to be able to read a little bit better, I'm happy with that.
Good. Karen.
Oh, hi. Well, I live in Houston, but I am originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've been married, oh, good Lord, 37 years this year. And that's why I moved to Texas. I grew up in a conservative synagogue, and at the time was one of the choir. And decades and decades ago, as a child, I davened shachrit. I was the person, the kids' choir. That was me up on the bima. And then I turned 13, and back in the day, the conservative movement said, "I'm sorry, you can no longer daven on the bima." And so, P.S., got involved in Jewish life other ways. And the melodies and the things that I learned are different where I am. And it's been so long, I've forgotten a lot. So I can follow some of the prayers, the ones that I attended. And I'm looking forward just to recharging my Jewish learning. And on a side note, my niece is now the cantor of the synagogue that I was no longer allowed to daven at Bat Mitzvah.
Wonderful. Very wonderful. I will tell you all something right now up front. There are different tunes. So maybe you're looking to one type of tune, but that doesn't mean that that's what your synagogue does or other synagogues. I will give you whatever tunes I can. Mostly I'll do it on YouTube's because I'm not a singer, but I do know my Hebrew. That's the key. I want you all to really know your Hebrew and to be able to follow your Hebrew. The tunes come later, but as long as you're pronouncing everything correctly, that's what matters. Okay, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Kessler. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here, we're in our 10th year. I grew up conservative, but I didn't really pay much attention. I went to Hebrew school, but I was talking. So I didn't learn very much. However, as an adult, I started taking different classes. So I can follow along pretty well. I can read slowly. But I just, like the other people who've talked, I just want to, continue learning as much as I can. I attend services. Well, now it's on Zoom, but I'm part of we have a morning and evening minyan every day at our synagogue, and I'm part of the evening minyan every week, every Sunday through Thursday. I go to Friday night services, I go to Saturday services. So I'm pretty much at the synagogue every day. So I follow along, but it just want to get more comfortable.
What's
Sure. Great.
It's called the AA. It's a very large synagogue in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Although it's not as large as it used to be, and it's changed quite a bit. And we have a new, young, amazing rabbi who also sings beautifully. So he's our cantor too. So we've really bumped it up a lot.
All right, that's great. That's Ahavat Chaim.
Yeah,
Achim. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lori, you're muted, dear.
Unmute.
Unmute, honey. I know.
There we go. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So hi, I live in Farmington, Connecticut. My husband and I moved here in November. We lived in New Haven, Connecticut. I retired in November, so I have all these new things going on in my life right now. I was brought up conservative. I have 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren. They all live around in Connecticut, which is wonderful. We recently joined a conservative synagogue called Beth El in West Hartford. Fortunately, we had services for the high holidays outside, and it was really lovely. And it was the first time since COVID that we had attended. There's an older rabbi, if you will, Rabbi Rosen, and they have a new rabbi, a woman, Rabbi Zarin, who's from Rhode Island, who's wonderful. And this is our first year in a conservative temple. We were in a reform temple for 13 years. 3 years ago, I got bat mitzvahed. That was really exciting. There were 16 of us in our group. And there was, I think, 2 guys, 2 men, and I don't know, 11 women. It was sort of it wasn't a regular, it was a kind of a modified, but it was a great experience, a great journey. So my goal is to improve my Hebrew, and especially with the prayers. And being in conservative, there's not as much English and there's not as much transliteration as there was in the Reform temple. So and the whole sisterhood is very attracted to me, since I'm not in the workforce anymore, right? So it's different, so
Good.
feeling a little imbalanced, feeling a little kind of, not sure where to go with all this time. So I'm really happy to be here.
Good, good. Just so you know, it depends upon the Siddur. Some of them do have transliteration. It just depends. The newer Siddurim have it. Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline Kleinman. I also live in Connecticut, and I live in Hamden. And I'm a member of a conservative synagogue in New Haven called, well, we call it Becky, but it's Beth El Kesser Israel, and in New Haven. And I took Anne's class last year. I think it was called Advanced Beginners. And so this year I bumped myself up to intermediate, and I hope to improve my reading.
Good, good. Okay. Felicia.
Hi, I'm Felicia Berkowitz. I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is really cool to see everybody from all different places. I was raised conservative. Our synagogue, Chesed Emunah in Harrisburg, is more conservadox than conservative. It was only about 5-6 years ago they started letting women read Torah. They just about a year ago changed their rules and are counting women for minyan. So I wouldn't say it's 100% egalitarian, but we're getting there.
Good. Okay.
I'm fighting to have women blow shofar. That's maybe the next step, since I can do that. I know all my prayers based on the tunes and know the words based on tunes, but if you take away the tune from me and ask me to read it without it, I got to sound out every single letter, and I'm not so good at that. So I'm looking for additional proficiency at the actual words and also understanding. I'm very good at singing my prayers without having any idea what any of those words mean. And I think there'll be a lot more meaning to know what those words mean, to just have a better essence of the prayers and what we're actually saying. And I also retired December 1st. So I'm also really into how to fill your time. And the book my synagogue uses is Siddur Chadash.
Oh, really? I have that one too. That's an old one. Yeah, that's a good one though.
It's brand new for my synagogue. They just adapted it about 5 years ago or so. So it's an update for them.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good. All right. Very good. Just I will get a little Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Do you know the Morrisons?
yes.
That's my daughter-in-law, Patty Morrison.
Ah, okay.
Patty. Yeah, I know there's other Morrisons there too, but
Yeah,
Patty
there
is
are.
Patty's my
Gotcha.
daughter-in-law.
Do you
Okay.
know Ellen Sanderson?
No.
She moved to the Sarasota area about a year ago.
Oh, no, I am not a member of the synagogue here. That's the only thing in Sarasota, but it's okay. All righty, Meryl. Nice.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Merrill Littman from Ardmore, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. My claim to fame is that I knew Debbie Goldich 40 years ago. And almost 50 years ago, maybe. And I retired 5 years ago. I was a veterinarian for 40 years at University of Pennsylvania. And for these last 5 years, I've taken a lot of classes to get to do things that I never had time to do. And I've been active at the synagogue and going to Gratz and other synagogues that give classes. And the Institute of Jewish Spirituality online is terrific. And, Jew boo kind of stuff. But I really like singing. I like the prayer so much. I go every Shabbat, and I agree with those that say they need more proficiency. And I can't do the Amida silent prayers in Hebrew. I have to switch over to English. So I'd like to just be more proficient in the reading. And when I saw this class, I thought, I haven't ever taken this kind of class, so I wanted to.
Good. In reference to that, before I go on, I will tell all of you, first of all, many synagogues, the men are doing it by rote, and maybe some of the women, but they do it by rote, they do it really fast, and there really is not a lot of meaning to it. I have found, I see. There's nothing wrong with reading some of it in English, to be honest with you, because if Hebrew is not really your first language, you're not, it's hard to know all of it. You can know what basically those prayers are, but you can read it, the Hebrew, read it. But if you want to really know what it's about, you want to look at some of the interpretations, you want to look at some of the English. That's how I see it and what I see other people do also. Like I say, if Hebrew's not your first language, it's really hard. And believe me, I would tell you that 80% of those people who are doing it and zipping through it, they're just doing it by rote. They can't always tell you what it is. They can tell you a part of it. And that's the other thing. That Amida is full of so many things. I mean, there's the different parts of it, and you'll know different parts. You'll learn different parts. But whether you're going to be able to look at it and read the whole thing in Hebrew and understand the whole thing in Hebrew, that takes many, many, many years, to be honest with you. So, we'll work on bits of it, but be patient with yourselves and just know that you can pray in any language. I mean, if you go to a Latin country, they're praying in Ladino. They're not necessarily praying in Hebrew. You can go into France. Sometimes their prayer books are in French. It depends. Many of them have Hebrew, but yet my rabbi a long time ago used to say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And people will, excuse me. Oh gosh, okay. I'm good. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All righty. But so let me go on. Bonnie's not there right now. I don't see her. So let's go to Vivian.
Hi, you see Vivian Lewis. I live in Medford, New Jersey, which is on the other side of Philadelphia from Merrill. So it's considered a suburb of Philadelphia. I grew up in a conservative synagogue, and as an adult, I joined one. We recently joined a different one that has also a young dynamic rabbi, and just went to services in person at the high holidays. And I didn't go to Hebrew school when I was a child, which I think is probably not a great thing, because if you go when you're younger, the reading will really stick. I mean, in other words, it's easier to pick stuff up when you're younger. And I have studied Hebrew as a language for many years, and I basically was reading like very well the words that I knew, just like somebody would learn and read English. And I wanted to learn how to read Hebrew better. So anyway, I was in the last class that you had mentioned. A couple of ladies here are in that class, and I've been involved with sisterhood. My most recent past job was being the treasurer of the sisterhood. So I will be getting involved with the new sisterhood. I don't know, what role I'm gonna play, but I retired from owning a business, and I did accounting / bookkeeping there for many years, and I don't know how much, and I'm doing another treasurer job for another organization. So
All
I
right.
don't know how many treasurer jobs I want to have, but anyway.
Well, but we'll see you on Friday mornings for Hebrew. That'll be good. Okay, Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally Greenstein. I live in Ackworth, Georgia. I'm a member of Congregation Eitz Chaim in Marietta, Georgia. I'm a transplant. You could probably tell from my New York accent. And when I was in New York, I was very involved with my synagogue and women's league, and I'm a past branch president of a now defunct branch. I grew up American, and it wasn't until I was married and had children that I decided I needed to find out more about my Jewishness. So through synagogue classes, my former synagogue was conservadox, traditional. Women were not even allowed to sit on the bima. And my motto is to climb up the Jewish ladder of knowledge as much as I can. And when something is offered to me and it works in my schedule, I do it.
Great.
That's why I'm here.
Good. Okay. And Bonnie.
Hi, I live in Forest Hills, New York, and I didn't grow up anything really. I mean, my grandmother went to an Orthodox shul on the high holidays, but that was it. She lit candles every Friday night, but we didn't go to shul other than that. And their idea of the Hebrew school for girls was a joke. We used to do coloring. And I remember telling my mother that, I have to get up, I have to go to color. And that didn't last too long. And then I was an adult bat mitzvah when I was 1988. And I've been studying Hebrew since a few years before that. I can read and write Hebrew in script and print. I speak not as well as I would like because I don't have enough practice. And I can read what, we're using Lev Shalem, this Siddur. I also have the Sim Shalom. And I can read a lot of what prayers, but I don't understand a lot of what I'm reading. And I was following the Chazan last night because I went back to shul at the end of May. And I went for a couple of months, and then Delta hit, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. So I haven't been back, and I didn't do the holidays. I did the holidays on Zoom. But I was reading the prayers, and I was following him. We have a new cantor. And I thought to myself, I'm sort of like cheating because I'm reading it and I'm following him, and I understand, I know what he's reading in Hebrew. I can usually find him if I lose my place. But I don't know all the words that he's saying. I can't translate every single thing that I'm reading. I find that frustrating. I really don't know how to daven too many things by myself. Well, okay, nothing. When we do Sisterhood Shabbat, well, when we were doing it in person, I got 4 or 5 lines of Haftorah, and I would study for 3 or 4 months. And I would have to listen to it, and I have to read it, and I have to see it. So, that's hard. And I have memory problems now because I have chemo brain. I get a lot of things. I was trying to think to tell you the name of the shul where I grew up when I went, and the rabbi. I don't know if any of you remember. She's gone now. There's a group in Manhattan on the Upper West Side called Hineni. Young Rice. That's it. It just came into my head.
Okay.
It takes me a while sometimes. And her brother, I went to her brother's shul, and when their father was still alive, he would do the sermon on Kol Nidre in Yiddish. And if you didn't understand Yiddish, you were out of luck, which
Right.
I understood because my mother and my grandmother spoke it. They didn't want us to understand what they were saying. And then we understood.
Right.
So I understand it. I speak it not so great, but I understand. And I understand a little bit of German from that.
Okay, that's good. I tell you, you're probably a little bit more ahead of some of the girls, some of the women here, but still, and you find if you find that this class isn't what you need, you'll let Julia know, and she
trust
can.
me, I'm
Okay.
not ahead of most people.
Well,
I was in
let me tell you all.
was
She
in-
says she forgets.
Yeah.
My kids call it halfheimers. It's, we get so much packed into our brains. It's not always easy to recall everything.
Well,
So,
mine is
thank you.
medical. Some of it's medically induced.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was in this class in this spring in the afternoon.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So everyone, that's great. We are from everywhere, and that's wonderful. And so here's another question I have to ask you. How many of you wear a kippah when you're at shul?
Only when I put on a tallis.
Okay. So all right. How many of you wear a talit then?
When I'm in Florida, I wear a tallis. When I'm in my shul in Florida.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. And you don't have to, but as being a part of an egalitarian community, because that's what the conservative is now. We had a female rabbi years ago who used to say egalitarian means if the men have to do it, the women have to do it. But it's not true because you can't force a man even to wear a talit if he doesn't want to, fine, or a woman. But my thing is, if you do wear a kippah generally when you're in shul, because we're studying prayers and doing prayers, I do recommend, if you feel comfortable, that you put on a kippah. I have one on now. I wear it every time I do Hebrew and everything. So that's one thing. Now, with the talit, I know that's a harder thing for a lot of women to get themselves doing. It's a mitzvah. Once you decide to wear that talit to a service, you should wear it every time you go to a service. I mean, once you take on a mitzvah, I'll be honest with you, I do not lay tefillin yet. I know that once I lay tefillin, I will do that every morning, and I'm not ready to take on that mitzvah. Take that on. That's a commitment. Although Rabbi Ellen says she has different ways, but so before we do anything, I think what we're going to do is we're going to say the bracha to study Torah. How many of you learned it in the previous class and know it?
We didn't learn it. We know it. It's in the book.
Well, if you know it, that's good. Everybody else? Okay. So every bracha, every blessing has a blessing formula, which is the first 6 words are always the same. And Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. That's your blessing formula. Always you say that, any blessing. If it's for a mitzvah to do something, you then add Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvot tov. Okay? Everybody got that? Anybody not sure of that? Okay. You can unmute if you like. I don't mind. If it gets too crazy, then I'll ask you to mute. But if you would like so that you can easily converse, that's fine. Okay. So when you put on that talit, do you say the prayer for it? Okay. All right. Okay. The others of you, if you decide that you want to wear a talit, you let me know. We can do something special for that if you want. But there is a prayer that we say before we put the talit on. It's in all Sidurim in the beginning on Shabbat. It's in the beginning. And it's one of those things that everything we do in Judaism, there's a bracha, there's a blessing. We thanking God for allowing us to do these things. So we have a blessing for absolutely everything. Okay. Let's see.
Can I make a request? I haven't been to shul and since this whole thing began, I haven't worn my tallis. In fact, I lost my tallis in Hurricane Harvey and bought a new one. I've never worn it. And I think it would be delightful if some people would learn it, but I would welcome putting my tallis back on. That would really usher in reconnecting. And so even if some people know it, for me, knowing it, it would be lovely. Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't wear the talit now because we're really not doing a service. And you wear your talit for a service. You have it, but you don't, it's a kippah, something that you're going to wear. You keep your head covered to say a blessing, any kind of blessing. So whatever we're doing, if we're saying any of the blessings, but we're not going to be doing a full service. So we're really not, I would wait. I would not do that with the talit. But if later on.
We are watching, I am watching virtually now, like we're not going in person. So
well,
anyway.
You could be putting your talit on when you're doing that. I do that. I'm on Zoom for my services all the time. I do belong to a synagogue here. It's a renewal synagogue, but I anytime there's a service, I put on my talit, and you should do that. You should, because then that makes you feel like you're really part of it. You're wrapping yourself in those tzitzit, in those the tzitzit on the end, or to remind us of the commandments. Just so some of you, just to let you know, the tzitzit are wrapped and knotted, and the total of rings around it and knots equals 613. And the 613 is how many mitzvot are in the Torah. That we don't do all of them anymore. And there are some that women don't do. There are some that men don't do, but there's a total of 613. So that's why the tzitzit, that's what's important about that, and the talit. So like I say, Karen, wear it when you go to your service. Even if you're on Zoom, wear it. It's good. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. All right, we got some time. Let me see what I've got. Okay, I'm going to. They had suggested we do breakout rooms. I will ask you all, how do you feel about doing breakout rooms?
So.
Yeah, what do you want to do the breakout rooms for?
Yeah.
Well, they had thought because I had so many people, but right now there's only 11 of us, and that's me too. I personally would rather each read, and then I can correct you or help you if you need it.
Right.
If you do a breakout room, they're figuring that you help each other, which could work sometimes, but not if you all don't know exactly what it is. So,
and can I ask you, are we all going to be using the same siddur? Because that's going to be a problem.
No, it won't. No, it won't. In my class last time, I will find the pages in each of the Sidurim. I have the pages. I go online. I do put up Lev Shalom generally online if everybody wants that. Sometimes people want to read it out of their book that they're used to. That's fine. But I'll find the pages. I'll let you know which pages we're on. So you can be in any book. As a matter of fact, I had one of the women told me she was using this book, which is a paperback
of
Siddur Sim
right.
Shalom.
Right.
And I did not realize I had it. This happens to be my son Seth's book. I'm going to give you a little quick background because you'll hear me refer to him a lot. My son Seth was 24 years old in 1999, and he was murdered. He lived in Maui, where he told me there was no crime, Mom. There was a bad person, and it was a bad thing. So it's been 22 years since we lost him. And, but I talk about him all the time. So you always hear me talk about him in different things. And like I say, I found his Siddur. So, I will refer often to this if you have the paperback one. And, it's just important to always keep him in my mind, in my soul, in my heart. Okay. So let's say the prayer for the study of Torah, because we're going to be doing certain prayers. So even though we're not studying just Psalms or just Tehillim, we're studying. So do you all know it? Raise your hand if you know the prayer for study of Torah.
Well, are you talking about the one when you're called up for a portion of the
No,
Torah?
no,
Okay, 'cause
the
I don't
study of
have that.
the study of Torah. I'll say it to you once, and then tell me if it sounds familiar. If not, we'll work on it. It's Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvot Tov V'tzivanu La'asok B'divrei Torah. Okay?
So,
Divrei are words for the words of Torah. La'asok is the study of the words of Torah.
so divrei Torah.
B'divrei. There's a bit, a bet in front of it, which means of or in Divrei Torah. La'asok
So, b'divrei.
Torah.
At some point, could you send that to us or something? Because I'm a visual learner. I've got to see it.
Okay, it's in your prayer book. It's in
Okay.
Saturday morning. It's in the very beginning. When you walk into the synagogue, you're supposed to say the prayer for coming into the house of Jacob, and then you put on your talit, and let me see.
I'm looking in Lev Shalem at the moment.
Okay, so I don't have it in front of me. It's like I say, it is in the very beginning.
You said
If
it's
you
Okay,
get to your early morning blessings, where it says early morning blessings,
okay.
right, preparing for Shabbat. Kabbalah, Shabbat study
no,
text?
Kabbalat Shabbat is Friday night. We're looking at
Right.
Saturday morning when you wear a talit.
Festival, no.
Okay.
Morning service.
Right, morning service,
Let me see, let me find
early
it.
morning service. The first one is Matovu. When we walk into the synagogue, we say Matovu.
Yeah,
How
got
beautiful how beautiful is this building that Jacob wants us to be in? And then the next page is Talit.
What page? What is the page number?
Oh, putting on I see
It's
putting
on
on
page
Tali.
4 for the
What
Talmud.
book
is
are
on
you in,
page
Madeline?
4.
Now, Madeline, what book are you in?
I'm in Sim Shalom.
All right, so let me go to Sim Shalom. Evening, Torah morning.
Oh, I found it. In Lev Shalem, it's 107.
Right, you're the only one I think who has Lev Shalem, though.
I have
No,
Siddur Sim Shalom
I
also.
have
I
left.
Has
found
Lev
it
Shalem
in
too? Good.
Sim Shalom.
Sim
It's on
Shalom,
page
page
63.
663.
Okay, you're in the
63, after we give thanks for the gift of Torah.
I've got 6, page 6 from here.
no.
No,
It depends upon which
63.
Siddur Sim Shalom. There's
Oh.
different ones. Yeah, that's a different one.
Oh, for Shabbat and
Want the one
festivals.
for
I want
Shabbat
you to go to the
festivals?
Shabbat
Let me see.
portion. I know I wasn't prepared with this to tell you the page, but hi, Julia.
Hi.
So I want you to go to the Shabbat portion, look in your books. If you have a Friday night and Saturday in there, find your Saturday morning.
Okay. So Anne, even though I
Yes.
have a reform Siddur, it's the same format. So I see Shabbat morning. So
Okay.
I'm in that section.
And it should be in there. I don't have a Mishkan Tefillah in front of me,
It says
but look at the,
inspiration for prayer.
okay, Elizabeth, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine has it too, but the words are a little bit different in Hebrew.
Okay.
And on my Lev Shalom, it's on on page 61, if anyone wants to. look.
Okay, good. All right. So everybody have it?
No,
Last for the
no.
Tovu.
And can I
don't
interrupt for a
see
minute
it.
while they're
Sure.
hunting pages?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to drop in and introduce myself. My name's Julia Loeb. I'm the co-chair of the Education Committee for Women's League. We are the ones that are sponsoring these classes. And I just wanted to welcome you all. I'm glad you found your way in. Nice to see some familiar faces and new faces, and just If you have any issues, Anne's an amazing teacher. You will learn a lot in this class. Any questions, though, please feel free to reach out to me. I was the one that sent you the emails about the class and the link. But I just wanted you to be able to put a face to an email address and a name. And if you need to reach out to me and don't have the original email, my email address is jloeb, L-O-E-B, jloeb@wlcj.org.
Right. Thank you, Julia.
Thank
And-
you. Enjoy
and-
the class.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. See you at noon.
Yeah, I'll see you at noon. Okay, everybody. We were looking for what? Lasok b'divrei Torah? Is that what we were looking for?
The prayer
Yes.
for the Torah.
For the Torah. Okay. So I made a mistake and I apologize. I told you that's half-timers. It is not at the very beginning, but that's the one for your talit is the very beginning. This would be okay. And I am looking to see where it is in here.
Sim Shalom at
Sim Shalom
63.
Shabbat Festivals.
I'll tell you
63
what,
is correct.
I'm going to screen share a minute and see if I have it on my in here. Let me just see if I've got it in here. So I've got Lev Shalom here. And
107.
this way you can all see what it is.
And does it come after the tefillah prayer? Do you know?
The Lasok b'divrei Torah. Honestly, you know what? I apologize. I'm so used to doing it and saying it, and I don't know where it is in here per se. And if you're saying it's that's the wrong one. I'm in the wrong one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go back.
In Lev Shalem, it's 107.
Okay, but I want to put it up for everybody. So, Shabbat morning.
And I have to tell you, I just learned something new. I always assumed that the prayer you said before the Torah reading was the only prayer before the Torah reading.
That's for the
Oh.
reading, not for studying.
Right, but I never realized that there was a separate prayer because I'm not there that early.
Well, they don't say it all the time.
But
They
it's
don't say this. I'm talking about if we're studying here.
Right.
Here we go. If we're studying.
But it's good to know that there's something else that I never knew.
Okay, let me do this. Let me go back into here. I'm going to stop screen share. I'm going to start screen share again. Okay, because I should be able to find it on here. Okay, so here we are.
There it is.
Okay, studying Torah. Let me see if I can get us over.
Yes.
Here we go.
You have it in red in the transliteration.
Yeah.
And
There
it's
it
the
is.
first two lines in Hebrew right there.
There we go. You're right. There we go. All right. Let me make it a little bit larger.
Yeah,
For
a
those.
lot larger, please.
Okay, everybody. So here it is. These where my cursor is.
Yep.
So we can. I know it's a cacophony. It's like crazy when you hear all the voices, but let's still do that slowly. We'll do it slowly. Where my cursor is, read it, and then you'll be able to. Everyone will be saying it. So let's start. Baruch
Baruch
atah
Adonai
Eloheinu
Melech
melech
Haolam
asher
Asher
Hishanu
B'mitzvotav
Vitzivanu La'asok B'divrei Torah. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Let's
La'asok.
La'asok. Yes.
I thought I heard la'asot.
Nope. Tok. There's a kuf at the end. La'asok.
Right, la'asot.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Welcome. Then I'm not going to do the Talit prayer now since it's not as many of you. We'll do that towards the middle because I do think I want to make sure everybody does know it. And if any of you do start to wear a talit again. So, let's do I know I'm looking at Barbara's past one. She did Baruch Hu. How do everybody, raise your hand if you feel you know the Baruch Hu easily.
I can see it.
So,
Everybody know the,
It's helpful if I could see the prayer. If I could see the prayer, then I know if I'm
Right.
familiar with it.
okay. Let me see if I have Baruch Hu here.
Oh, no.
you need to go into Shachrit and Musa.
Yeah. The Baruch Hu is in the beginning prayer of Shachrit, but let me, I didn't prepare with this one. Let me go. I've got Baruch Hu here. Give me a minute. Baruch Hu, come on, I know I have it.
In Sim
I
Shalom,
apologize, ladies.
107.
I have to tell you, ladies, I should have told Julia to make this the day after Yom Kippur. I just,
Right.
Yeah.
it
Not
has,
good.
it has been really tough for me.
Yeah, I bet.
You're doing good, Ann. You're doing good.
Trying. Okay, so let's see it and let's go back into this one.
I think someone said it, but in Sim Shalom, it's on 107.
Thanks.
Okay. Sim Shalom, it's in 107.
Yep, it is.
Siddur Chadash, I think, right? And right, let me see if I can find it on Lev so you can see it. Anybody have Lev Shalom on you that you're, because I
I'm
don't,
looking for it.
I'm looking for it.
Shabbat and not penitential.
Looks
I
like
don't
in-
come that early.
Yeah.
I found it. Try page 149. There's a Baruch Hu there.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that you're doing all that. Let's
Listen,
get
it helped me too.
149.
It's under the morning service, which says Shema and its blessings.
Right. Okay. 142, 144, 15, 7, 8,
Next page. There we go.
9. There we are. Baruch Hu. Okay. So, with the Baruch Hu, just so you all know, in case you ever do the leading for a sisterhood Shabbat or something, that the first line is said by the person leading it, and it goes Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Now I don't know if that's your tune or not. That's a tune I'm used.
It's general.
And
Yeah.
then the congregation comes back with Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Yolam Va'ed, and then that leader repeats that. So that's basically it. So everybody, let's do that I'll run the cursor, we'll do it slowly. All right. And if you feel you can sing it, do that. If not, just say it, just so you've got these words. Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Okay. Always make sure you say Hamivorach. I think sometimes people get kind of messed in that. It's Hamivorach, right? Leolam means to the world. Okay, Va'ed, this is the world. Blessings, Baruch. All right. So I think you all have got that down. That's good. And you have a Siddur in front of you, all of you. At different times, if you're just not doing anything else, just pull out your Siddur and go over some of the prayers. It's, yeah, I like to look at everybody. It's easy enough. And if you've got transliteration, I do recommend you cover the transliteration and practice your Hebrew. But if you get stuck on something, then look at the transliteration. And if you get stuck on something and you just don't know how to pronounce it, because there's a couple of Hebrew words out there that are really tough, try and write it down, or take a copy of it, or remember the page and tell me, and we can work on it. So, yes, Madeline.
Hi, I just have one quick question. When is this said and by whom? This prayer that we just did?
The Baruch Hu, it said the leader says the first part,
No, no,
and
no,
the congregation responds. When is it said? It's said generally in the beginning of the service, not the very, very beginning. Different synagogues do different things, but it's said in the beginning of the service because it's our call to prayer. So we'd say it in the beginning. Did you have it there?
Yeah, I do have it, but I guess as someone said, I'm never there that early. So, so it's sort of, the first two parts are the same as when you're called up for an aliyah, but the last part is different.
Well, yeah, this is just the Baruch Hu of being called to study, to pray. When you're called up for an aliyah, that's being called up to be a guard, to stand there as you know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
So somebody from the congregation would be called up to say this prayer before they.
No, normally it's your chazan, your leader, your prayer leader. If it's your chazan, if it's your rabbi, whoever you have who's leading your prayers, they are the one who's that leader part.
Okay, so it's not that you're called up to do it.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's your aliyah for a Torah. You're called up. Aliyah means go up.
Right.
So you're caught up there. But no, this is whoever your leader is.
Right. Okay.
Leads prayers.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything? No. Okay. So actually, had everybody been here, we wouldn't have had this much time, just so you know. So I'm a little bit behind. But let's go to Shabbat festivals. Okay, that's Kabbalah. You all know the Kabbalah Shabbat's Friday night, and our Shabbat is Saturday morning. There are some same prayers on Friday night and Saturday, but a lot of them are different. Because Friday night is preparing us to get ready for Shabbat. Saturday is our Shabbat. That's our day of rest. Friday night, we're preparing to get ready. So that's what our brachot are all about. That's the other thing. Words in Hebrew are often feminine and masculine, plural feminine, plural masculine. So a bracha is one, brachot are more than one. And it always leans towards the masculine way of saying it, unless we're definitely dealing with women. Okay, and then we say it in the feminine. And there's question that different people do the feminine differently. I once had to ask an Israeli friend of mine. I was a gabbai, and I said to her, "But that's a man's term, gabbai. It's that person who goes up during the Torah and either gives out the aliyahs for it, and then they stand there and they make sure the page is right, etc. That's your gabbai. Your gabbai is like a guard." And I said to her, "I'm not a man. I'm not a gabbai. So what am I?" And she says, "You're a gabayit." And I had no idea. Now she says that actually they often say an Israeli for the male and an Israelite for the female. So I don't know if they're still doing that. Things change in Israel all the time, but she did tell me that. So we add that. Yes, Karen.
I have a question, please. There is a feminine version of Yasher Koach, and I don't know what it is. Can you say it out loud so that I'm clear on what do you know what I'm talking?
I do, and I've learned it one way, and then I heard Rabbi do it a different way. It's Yasha Kochet is how I've heard it. Kochet instead of Koach, which is the male. So it's Yasha Kochet, but there's another way also of saying it. Now maybe it's the plural. I'll check onto that. I tell you what, I will. I will ask Rabbi Ellen for the feminine of Yasher Koach, and she'll.
Because again, people just use the
right.
Just say Yasher Koach.
Everybody know Yasher Koach means good job. You did a good job. And what a lot of people say afterwards is peticha, which means a blessing on you. So that's how we do things in Hebrew. It's like, it's always a back and forth and it's always a nice thing. So if you ever want to do that, or you can just say thank you, toda rabah, thank you. But that's that. All righty. I tell you what, it is almost 11 o'clock. Are there any, yes, Sally?
Okay. Yahshua kohachen is feminine plural.
That's plural, right. Okay, where'd you get that? Okay, Women's League. That's great. I have that somewhere.
Yeah.
All
What,
right,
what
but
is
that's
that?
plural. You
What
want to,
is
if you want to
Oh.
singular, there's a singular version of it. So,
Yeah, the singular is Yahshua kohech.
okay. All right, I'll have to get that, how it's pronounced.
How do we get that booklet?
That's good. You can go, Women's League has,
Uh-huh.
if you go in, you're all members. So you go into Women's League and there's materials and you can
Oh,
order any materials. You may have trouble like moving around in it, but just keep
right.
looking, put in what you
Great.
want in the search.
So
You can get anything.